back here again. Perfect. So, boys and girls, we are pretty consistent. So the best way to do it is that one other thing that is required is to know what number is at what position, right? And I have to return the number with the smallest index. 30,1. Hmm. This is a nice way that what they are saying is that um, is it a guarantee that the area of integer is always gonna be in the this order? So what they are saying is that let me try. Let me try that I should be increasing first storing the element in the focus. to approach. How to approach this question? What a beautiful. Okay, max consecutive ones. You are given a binary array nums. Binary array nums. Return the maximum number of consecutive ones in the array. ये कैसे कर सकते हैं? It's a simple array question. Come on, think. कैसे करेंगे binary? So I started iterating. I got either 0 or 1. If it's 0, then I'll move again. But if it's 1, then I'll check if the next is 1 or not. Okay, so basically I can maintain a max value. I can maintain a max value first of all. Let's say max is equals to 0, and then I'm gonna for I in range len of nums, for I in range len of nums, if I num at I is equals to 1, then कैसे होगा भाई? कैसे होगा? सोचो कैसे होगा, ऐसे नहीं होगा. I need to think. So think that if I is equals to 1, then should I check the next I? If I check the next I here, which is gonna be I plus 1, and that is also is equals to 1, Then clock start नहीं किया. नहीं, ये लॉजिक काम नहीं कर रहा है. ये लॉजिक कैसे? If I just if I store all the positions of element in a hash, but why to use hash table if this can be done with an array itself, right? Let's check the solution. Okay, brute force for each position the array. We count how many consecutive ones start from the position. We can scan until we hit 0, then the end of that track, then track the maximum count seen. Yeah, we have to track somewhere maximum count. Initialize is 0 to track the maximum consecutive ones for each starting index. Initialize 0 to control 1, scan forward while the current element is 1, increment the counter 1, stop when countering reaching the update rest to the max. कितना easy है ना ये, what I was doing, that for num in nums, that I did right. If num is equals to 0, so we started by initializing the count and the total result, which is going to be the max number of the things. So we have initialized from 1 to we are iterating through the array, and if we encounter a position, if the value is 0, if the value is 0, then whatever the count is will select the max between that result and the count index. But CNT, which is also we are trying, so currently the CNT is 0 and the rest is also 0 because it's the first position. Max consecutive ones. When will be that day where I'm solving all the questions without looking at it? Max consecutive one. That is gonna be no worries, the day will come. I guess arrays problems. If I do a filter where topic is just array, how to get just, no worries, don't waste time, let's continue. Longest common prefix. You are given an array of string strs. Return the longest common prefix of all the strings. If there is no longest common prefix, return an empty string. BA is the longest one. Okay. How can we do it? How can we do it? So basically I have once I reach the first, I'll see the one way is to start with the string which is of the lowest length, and then check if that is present in all of them or not. That is one of the way. But how will I be iterating it over? Oh wow, timer. Can I start stopwatch? Wow, this is a good feature. Timer. Let's say I have to think that in 10 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes I'm gonna think. Hmm. This is a nice feature. This is really a nice feature. कैसे होगा longest. What is try? What is try? What is try? ये भी पूरा एकदम यूनिक सॉल्यूशन है. Prerequisite hash map data structures for LeetCode course. Try. Okay, so obviously it's some. Okay. There are so many ways. String manipulation, comparing characters, extracting substrings, and iterating through the strings. Start with the first string as the initial prefix candidate, then compare it with each subsequent strings, shrinking the prefix to match only the common portions. After processing all strings, what remain is the longest common prefix. The prefix can only shrink or stay the same. Can the prefix can only shrink or stay the same as we go through more strings. Initialize prefix as the first string in the array. For each subsequent string, compare the characters of one of which with the current prefix. Find the index j where the characters stop matching or run out of characters in the either strings. Truncate prefix to indicate only characters from 0 to j minus 1. Why? Right. So basically, if I started and right, this is the logic. For example, there are two strings of equal length 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 5, and at the second position it is not matching. So the index which we got is j equals to I, j equals to 1, j equals to 1, right? J equals to 1. Well, whatever the questions that I have solved, can I just access them and solve it again? Problems. this is submitted, but they do not have my answer. So basically this cannot be done in the ON. We have to traverse it in we have to traverse it 2 times in any solution. So basically what I understand is try, okay, intuition, a try naturally represents a tree. Is it saying tree or try? I don't know. Tree naturally represents all the prefix. We insert the shortest string into that tree, then query each other strings against it. For each strings we walk down the tree as a character. Wow, this is mind-blowing. Tree.
Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's write some more LeetCode today. So today let's solve the problem longest common prefix. We're given a list of strings, and among all these strings we want to return whatever is the longest common prefix. Now what is a prefix? Well, it's just a portion of the string. So for example, the string flight, a prefix is just any portion of the string starting from the beginning. So F is a prefix, FL is a prefix, FLI is a prefix, flight itself, the string itself is a prefix. As long as it starts from the beginning and is continuous, then it's a prefix. And we want to return the longest common prefix among all of these strings. So, what's the intuitive way to tackle this problem? Well, look at the beginning, right? All 3 of these strings start with an F, right? So F is a common prefix among all of these strings. Let's look at the next character, L. L is the second character in all of the strings. So another prefix that's common among all the strings is FL. Now let's look at the third character. O is the third character in this string. O is the third character in this string. And I is the third character in this string. So unfortunately, FLO is not common to all 3 of the strings. It's common to these 2, but it's not common to this one. So FL is going to be the longest common prefix that we have, so that's what we can return. So the problem really is that simple, but there are a couple edge cases that can trip you up if you are a beginner. So we're going to be focusing on that, especially when we code it up. So basically, we are going to simultaneously iterate through all of the strings that we're given. One of the strings could be shorter than the other string. So for example, if we weren't even looking at this string, we can see that these 2 strings, this string and this string, they both start with flow, right? So flow is a common prefix to both of these 2 strings. Then if we got to the 5th character, we'd see that, okay, E is the 5th character here. This string does not even have a 5th character, right? So if we get out of bounds out of one of the strings, then we know we can stop, right? And that makes sense, right? Flow would be the longest common prefix among these 2 strings. So what's going to be the time complexity of this solution? Well, potentially we're going to have to go through every single character of every single string. That would basically be the case if, we had, let's say we had flower and we had it multiple times, right? Then we'd have to potentially iterate through each of those flower strings, right? Because they're common, so we wouldn't stop. And then we have to go through every single character. So the overall time complexity, let's say, is going to be n, where n is the total number of characters that we're given. Or if you want to say that n is the average size of the string, and we have m different strings, then you can say this is the time complexity, right? However you want to formulate it. But overall, we're going to just have to iterate through each character in the entire input once. With that said, we're ready to code it up. So the first thing we're going to do is initialize our result. Remember, if let's say we didn't even have a common prefix among any of the strings, right? They all started with a different character. Like we had A, we had B, we had C, right? There's no common prefix among these 3 characters, so then we just return an empty string because there is no common prefix. So we initialize our result. Then we want to simultaneously iterate through all of the strings, right? So we're going to use a pointer I to indicate what index that we're at in the strings, and we're going to go through, let's say, through every single character of, let's say, the first string, right? I'm just putting the first string here, strings at index 0. This is just the first string. I'm using that arbitrarily, right? Because it could be possible that this string is not the shortest string in the input, right? In which case we want to stop this for loop earlier than it's actually shown right now. So we'll have to remember to handle that case. I'll handle it slightly differently than using a conditional out here. So, okay, so we're iterating through every index. We want to now iterate through every single string and make sure all the strings have the exact same character at index I. So let's go through every single string. So for S in the list of strings that we're given, we want to check that every single string at index I is the same. So let's compare this arbitrary string S to the first character of the first string, right? We can pick any of them, but we just want to make sure that they're all the same. So we'll just make sure to choose the same one every time. So we'll go to the first string, right? Strings at index 0 is the first string in the input, and then we'll go to index I of that string. So as long as they're equal, we're going to continue. If they're not equal, though, which is this case, then we're going to have to return, right? We're gonna have to return whatever our result is so far, because we know that whatever this prefix is, that's gonna be the result, because we can't make the longest common prefix any longer. But there's one case that we didn't think about. What if we went out of bounds, right? What if the string s is out of bounds? Because we know this is gonna be in bounds, because that's our I pointer up above, right? I is always gonna be in bounds of the first string, because that's what we're iterating through up over here. But this string might go out of bounds. So before we check this condition, we're gonna make sure that I is in bounds. So we're gonna say that if I is equal to length of s, which means it's out of bounds, right? Then we're gonna also return, right? We're not even gonna check this line of code. If this evaluates to true, we'll immediately return. That's how Python works with the conditionals. If the first one is true, we don't even check.
This is tough. But I will do it. I will do it. Easy, they are saying, man. Why? It's so tough. Fuck. This is tough, man. This is tough. How can I improve it from here in the beginning? Is it like the same for everyone? Fuck, people are writing in Go, C++, R. Nobody is writing in Java. 41,000 people are writing. That's already ended. Gemini, why they are using? Oh, so questions are also being ranked by the ये कौन है फैल्कन भाई? इसने कैसे किया? भाई ये क्या है? ये कौन बंदा है भाई? मतलब आई डोंट नो इफ दिस इज टोटली अनरियलिस्टिक. दिस सीम्स रियल. एंड इस बंदे ने लास्ट ईयर आई मीन नवंबर दिसंबर से शुरू किया इसने. भाई ये क्रेजी बंदे की प्रोफाइल. कितने घंटे करता था रोज? भाई बंदे ला कैसे रहे हैं यार? ये चैट जीपीटी या एलएलएम से पूछ रहे हैं क्या? I think this is not fair. How this can be possible? Discussion. Fuck. But when did this 112 submissions? 138 submissions. Eight submission. 4, 90, 19, 10, 33, 133. This guy is crazy. I need to walk. This is tough. How can I go it from? Right now the problem is I need to master the strings and array. Anyhow, let's end the stream and connect tomorrow.